All right, digital nomads of the world, it's that time again. We've obviously swapped our Zoom background, this time for another epic city. We traded our lederhosen for clogs, that's your clue. The last part is entirely untrue. We don't have either, and we certainly have no room in our suitcases at this point. But can you guess where we went? Well, we jumped from Germany to the Netherlands. So we spent an unforgettable May in Amsterdam, the land of tulips, windmills, and of course, as we all know, bicycles. So it's time to dive into the entire Digital Nomad's lowdown on what we thought of Amsterdam and the Netherlands. Remember, we're not just tourists, we're working remotely as we go. So our review here is, yes, it's about Amsterdam as far as an attraction, things to do, where to eat, but it's also what it's like as far as living a digital nomad lifestyle as well. I'd love to tell you that meant that we were taking conference calls and replying to emails and spectacular cafes. But the reality is most of the times we were just in our very comfortable place that we stayed in. We'll talk about that later. We worked on the kitchen table. We were by the canals. We just couldn't see the canals from our view, but it was nice to know that they were there overall.
You're never too far from the canals.
Our trips have more of a slow travel vibe now when we get out there. So we no longer do like the days of old where it was like pre-dawn to post-dusk itineraries where we were trying to pack it all in. That was our pre-digital nomad life. We're not on a wild goose chase to snap the best selfies out there with every other tourist. And we really want to have some balance between work, the lifestyle, the journey. And we always say, look, we can always come back. We didn't do everything on our master plan. There were some places we didn't get to, which we'll get to next time because we're really mindful that burnout could be a real factor in this lifestyle. It's hard enough to get into a daily routine. So that's my recommendation to all of you considering a lifestyle like this. Realize it is different. Honestly, there's really never any pressure. I know next week, tomorrow, the next day, there's always more opportunities to do something fun. Just as a quick recap, over the last few months, we're on our 5th month or so of this lifestyle. We started in Madrid. We have a video in the YouTube channel. You may want to check that out. We rated everything, what we thought about our stay in Madrid. From there, we went to Portugal, hit some of our favorite spots. We then went into Spain, which was amazing. We even did a cruise to go from Lisbon to Spain, so Portugal to Spain, which is a great way to do it. We have another video and certainly articles on our website on how you can do that as well. Really affordable. And then we made our way over to Berlin before heading over here to Amsterdam. So we're going to break it down into categories. We're going to rank each category 1 to 5, 5 being best, and we'll cover all the things you might want to hear about, from things to do, places to eat, getting around, all that good stuff. Monica and myself, we may end up agreeing, we may end up disagreeing. Are we going to disagree on some things?
It could happen. You never know.
It could happen. It will happen. We did arrive in Amsterdam after spending, about 10 days in Berlin? For me, Berlin was amazing as far as the history. Where else can you have such a crossroads between the world wars, the Holocaust, the wall, East versus West? However, for me, as far as the day-to-day and the lifestyle, it just wasn't my favorite place to be. It just didn't have, for me, the right energy. It wasn't a place that I wanted to spend. That was my impression. Did you have a different impression on Berlin?
You know, I was in Berlin for the history. I have to admit, I just love it. And it's literally everywhere. So I really geeked out on all of that. But it was a different vibe than Amsterdam for sure. I don't know. I liked it, but I see what you mean. It was just a different experience.
As soon as we arrived in Amsterdam, it was like it was sunny again. I hate to say it. But for Amsterdam, I was really sad to leave. And that usually says a lot about a place for me. When I don't want to go, I realize we got to move on to our next place. So let's go ahead and dive in. Start with our first category, things to do. On a 1 to 5, 5 being best, Amsterdam by far easily a 5. It has endless number of sites and attractions. Walking around the city is like walking through a postcard. You don't even need a destination. One of the things that we try to do to somehow stay fit on this lifestyle, because we love food and we eat out a lot, is I try to make sure that we have 10,000 steps every single day. Better if it's 15,000, at least 10,000.
He does mean every single day.
Yes, every day means every day, Monday through Sunday. Also 600 move points. So there are days you can have 10,000 steps, but you're not going up and down hills, and that's only 400 or 500. So we also have to get 600 plus on that. In some places, it's like a death march. I don't know what I say. It's 8 o'clock at night. We're 4,000 steps short because we worked all day. We have to go on our death march in order to get it. 1, most days we didn't even need to because we were just out. You put in a lot of steps. It's great. And 2, even if we did need to grab some steps at the end of the day, gosh, we look forward to it. It was just so pleasant walking around that city.
Yeah, we got lucky with the weather too, because every night it just felt so nice to be out walking around, and there's the canals everywhere, the trees and flowers blooming. It's ridiculous. It was so nice.
Some of the highlights for me, we were in the artists area. That's where we stayed, and that probably did make a big difference. If we would have stayed somewhere like right by the central train station, if you've been there, which is like the red light district here and all the partiers here, it would have been different. And I think if you're staying extended like we did for a month. So we were out of that. We could walk to it. It was about a 20-minute walk for us to get there. So this area was great. It had the zoo. It had parks.
University.
So just really nice energy. A lot of local places to eat at. So it was quite nice. But other areas that we really enjoyed were Vondel Park, which amazing park as you would imagine.
Huge park, yes.
Yeah, all the museums I think were up in there. Well, we did one exceptional food tour that we'll link to down below. Also back at our website, digitalnomads.com. We'll put the link down below as well. We had this great food tour. It was on Airbnb Experiences. We're super good. We did a bike tour in the countryside, which was really great with a local. We visited, of course, the things you do as a tourist, the Anne Frank House, the Heineken Brewery. The Anne Frank House was amazing what they've done there. So respectful. And the Heineken Brewery, as you can imagine, you drank beer and learned about Heineken. We did a Depeche Mode concert, all that good stuff. And that was really a lot of fun to go to a concert in a city that you're staying at. And there was just great food all over. And then a big highlight for us is our daughter came from the US to visit us for a week. So we really got to share the experience with her. So enough about what I think about things to do. What about you, Monica?
I think I give it a 5 as well, and I'll tell you why. Several times people were like, "You're there a month? What are you going to do for a month?" But I don't remember feeling like we didn't have enough to do. There was always something else to do. We went to Keukenhof and saw the tulip fields, and we did a side trip to Rotterdam, and that was a lot of fun. And you didn't even mention that you got to climb on the blade of a windmill.
This is true. One of my life's accomplishments. So yeah, definitely great place. All right, food. That's a big thing for us. You got to eat, and we do like to eat. That's why we do food tours. Every city we go to, we try to do a food tour. We highly recommend that. I'm going to give the food scene a 4 out of 5. The only reason I don't say 5, because we had some amazing meals and restaurants, is the local cuisine, for me anyway. It had some interesting and tasty bites, but there's a reason maybe you don't see Dutch restaurants throughout the world like you see Italian restaurants and Mexican restaurants and Japanese restaurants and Chinese restaurants. I didn't grow up there, so I'm sure if you're Dutch and you're listening to this, you might disagree. I did enjoy some of the things that we had that were Dutch cuisine, but it was limited. I liked actually some of the international food that they had that was related to the Dutch Empire.
Like Suriname or Indonesia. Yeah, there's a lot of food that comes from those former colonies.
However, there was a lot of really good international food there. So we had a lot of great breakfast and brunch. That was definitely on point. Some of our favorites, you may want to jot down, Greenwoods, Blue Amsterdam, and another one in our area that we stayed at was called Box Social. And we hit that one multiple times. Not just for lunch, brunch, we also hit it for dinner at least a couple times. So Box Social would be high in the list. We had some of the best Thai food that I've had anywhere, and it was a restaurant called Krua Thai, amazing. And then we had some pretty incredible pizza at a pizza place. It's N-E-A, how would you say that?
Nea.
Nea Pizza.
It's Neapolitan pizza. It was hard to get in, but we got really lucky.
We showed up 15 minutes before, no resi or anything, and they were able to seat us, and within 15 minutes it was packed. So that's a recommendation if you decide to go there. And then, amazingly, we had fantastic ramen at a place called Ramen Kingdom. More shocking is the fact that it was right by the central train station. So you're thinking tourist trap. But no, it's phenomenal. Super nice people inside there as well. And the ramen was top notch. And we've had ramen throughout the world, including Japan.
Ramen connoisseurs, I believe.
Snobs, maybe.
Yeah. But it was so good. We went back 2 other times. It was really good. There was a really great Italian sandwich at 00. I thought I knew what stroopwafels were, but I'd never had a hot, fresh one until here, and they were amazing. Hans Eggsdorf, that was our favorite. Just, they make them right in front of you, and they're just amazing. And then the market.
In Albert Cube Market, we had a really nice stroopwafel there as well. Freshly made throughout the day, awesome. Get them fresh, that's the key.
Yeah.
They're still warm. And then we had pancakes there, these small little Dutch pancakes, so not your big American-style pancakes. And they sprinkle it like a little bit of powdered sugar, some cinnamon. So good, fresh, warm. And then we had really great hummus at a restaurant called DNA Hummus Bistro. We went back there a couple times, I think, for lunch and really enjoyed it.
Here's a pro tip about the stroopwafels, by the way. Someone told us that if it's not hot and fresh, if it's just one that's in a package, take it, put it on top of your coffee cup, and after a few minutes, it'll soften and get really good and warm again. So
Assuming you can
You're
be
welcome.
patient enough to actually
I know,
let
right.
it warm up on your coffee cup. That's a
never
good tip.
happened, but yeah, maybe.
So I was a 4. What are you overall on the food?
I agree with that as well. There was plenty of great things to eat, so we did not go hungry. Surprise.
Yeah, we never go hungry.
In case that was a danger.
Getting around to walkability, next category. This one I would say a 5, but I'm giving it a point penalty down to a 4 for how many bikers literally tried to take us out. They clearly were actually using us as targets. They mean serious business in Amsterdam. After a few days of walking, I definitely developed a sixth sense. Mostly was a fear of the battering rams coming towards you, and there was no slowing down. They do not slow down. You dodge. That's the way that it works. Obviously, we're making good fun of it. It was never really an issue, but you definitely need to be more aware of bikes than cars. Biking infrastructure in the Netherlands is amazing. It is something you have to be aware of when you are there. Your head will definitely be on a swivel stick.
I understand your penalty, but I give them credit for training me within 30 seconds of arrival to always be aware of the bike lane. I literally would rather be in the road than on the bike lane. The transit system is great, and then it's just so beautiful in every direction. So perfect 5 for walkability.
Awesome. Yeah, it really does deserve that. The people. So we do like to rank the people. I know that's unfair, but that's just part of the feeling when you are someplace. Are people receptive to you? Are they happy to have you? I would say people in Amsterdam, warm and receptive, genuinely friendly. Yeah, look, I'm going to say for me, it's nice the English is so good there. It just makes the day-to-day easy. I'm not expecting people in every part of the world to speak English fluently, but I'll admit I'm not the best at language. So for me, it is nice when that's the case. So I give it a perfect 5.
It was super easy. I think they're a very welcoming people. I never felt otherwise. It just, anytime we ever interacted with anyone, for whatever reason, it always seemed very easy and pleasant, except the time when I was trying to get through the turnstile with my card and it kept erroring out and there were 1,000 people behind me.
But they were good. Nobody pushed.
No one pushed.
They're very tolerant people. History shows that. It's a live and let live kind of place, as you could imagine.
Unless they're on a bike.
Yes, I know that is the one exception. Put them on a bike, I don't know, everything changes. It's super nice. So the next category is places to stay and neighborhoods. That's important because if you are going to do the lifestyle like we do it, and we're going to stay more than a few days, you need to have places where are not really in the city center because it's just a little bit too crazy. So I'm going to give it a 4 here, as long as you're smart about where you stay. I'm only saying a 4 because it's not the most inexpensive place to stay. It's going to be hard to do this cheap when it comes to your housing in Amsterdam. You could go way further out for sure and come in by train. We actually met some people on some tours who were doing that, and they did find places that were much more affordable. So if you don't mind hopping on the train, coming in 15, 20 minutes, then you absolutely can save a lot of money. We felt the neighborhood we went to, Artis, at least it brought the price down some because we weren't right on top of everything. You may want to stay right in the dead center, but just know it is going to be chaos. It is busy, but if you're staying longer, pick the area that we stayed in. It was so, the place that we stayed was called Wittenberg by Cove. Service apartments. So even though we only had a studio, we had a nice little kitchen. So we heated up some food. We made a couple dinners. No air conditioning. Buyer beware in the summer. It does get warm there. Another really popular area that people stay in that's a little bit further out, but still right in the center of things is Jordan. It's going to be one of your main expenses is where you stay. And just be careful of the summer because you've got crazy crowds there in the summer. We were there in May. So we dodged the bullet there, I think.
Yeah, agreed.
And yeah, look, there's the red light district. There's coffee shops that, as you may have heard, don't exactly specialize in coffee. It's all part of the culture and the experience, but it's really easy to avoid if you want it or not. The Dutch are truly live and let live people.
Agreed.
I think I gave that a 4 out of 5. How about you?
4 out of 5.
Awesome. We're agreeing a lot here.
We see eye to eye often.
We got to disagree on this next one.
I know.
All right, we probably won't. Co-working, remote working, internet. I give it a 4. Internet was great everywhere. I didn't see a ton of co-working going on, probably because it's not the most affordable. There's obviously places that are less expensive, but there were some nice places, co-working spots with coffee, and this time actual coffee and not the smoking type. But I just can't say I saw tons of people with laptops open.
I'm going to disagree with you. I'll give it a perfect 5 because I worked plenty and the internet was great.
There, we disagreed. So 4 out of 5. Okay, affordability, I'm going to give it a 4. You could easily argue when you compare it to other places that you could do this lifestyle that it deserves a 3 or even lower compared to a lot of other places you can visit. But you have to take it in the context that you're in Western Europe. It has an amazing lifestyle. Yeah, accommodations can get expensive, My advice is always try to stay longer, go off peak, you will save quite a bit. There are some issues with Airbnb and some regulatory issues, so I never quite was 100% confident that Airbnb is truly allowed there. You'll see listings, but not as many as you'd expect in a big city like that. I just wasn't sure. That's why we did the Cove, because it was a serviced apartment. It was a kind of a hotel, but it obviously had living rooms and kitchens. So just be aware of that, but you almost always get a discount if you stay a month or longer. In fact, we didn't stay quite the full month, but I booked it for a month, got the month discount, and we left 2 or 3 days early. So that's another little tip, a little advice. You can do that. If you go through Airbnb, almost always, let's say you're staying somewhere 26, 28 days, check it for 30 or 31 days. You might just stay the time you want and just leave a few days early. Just let the host know you're leaving a few days early, something came up, and get the discount. So something to keep in mind.
Yep.
Oh, other things on affordability. The food, look, it's not, again, the cheapest place to eat, but when you get your bill, it includes the tax. So we're used to in the US paying another 8-9%. Tipping, it's not a tipping crazy culture. 5%, 10% that covers you in a restaurant. In the US, you got 20%, 25% plus tax. Your bill's always 35% higher than what you get when you first get that check in the US. So yes, even though you won't see like the entrees and the appetizers that much lower than US prices, they're lower by a little bit, but when you factor in this, so I think we spent about 30 to 40% less than we spend back in the US. Not as much as we saved when we were in Madrid, for instance. Spain was absolutely cheaper, but the groceries were reasonable. The dining out was, I think, fairly reasonable. It took a lot to spend over $100, where in Austin, I can spend, between the two of us with a couple drinks and an appetizer, we can spend over 100 in a heartbeat. You're not going to typically do that often. So I still think it's a good place to be more affordable, just not your cheapest place you can go.
Yeah, we kept hearing how expensive Amsterdam is. It didn't seem to me all that more expensive than, say, Portugal or Spain, but maybe in accommodations it is. But it's still definitely more affordable than the US. Yeah,
and that's really why I think, for me personally, and I believe Monica would agree, we really can't wait to make a return to Amsterdam. We were already talking about 2024, when could it fit? We have to avoid the summer is the challenge, just from not just really the weather, but it gets so busy there this summer. I'm sure it's crazy right now. So it is nice to go a little bit off peak to some of these places. And there were just some day trips that we left out. It's not just the stereotypical cheese, windmills, and tulips, which it has all that. There really is a lot more to offer. Any final thoughts on Amsterdam and the Netherlands?
Over the decades, I've dipped into Amsterdam here and there, but I've never really spent that much time there. So it was really nice to spend plenty of time there, like a whole month, and get to know it. And it was a revelation. They've got it going on there. It's a great lifestyle. It's so pleasant and easy, and I am looking forward to going back as well. And I want to go see some other towns like The Hague and Utrecht and other places we didn't get to this time.
So if you don't mind, we would really appreciate you give the video a thumbs up. There's something about some YouTube algorithm where maybe 3 or 4 people might see this. If you help us out a little bit, subscribe to the channel. We'll continue to try to do a little better job of getting videos out more regular. Right now we're in San Miguel de Allende in Mexico, so we plan on doing a real quick summary of our stay here. We've definitely got some opinions on it overall, and we're looking forward to share that. And we'll continue to share some new videos in the YouTube channel with some tips on how to save some money, do this lifestyle, things that we've learned over the years. So that's it. We'll see y'all next time.